Okay, in this section we're going to talk about the identity, inverse, and zero properties. Okay, I'm going to give you just a second to read through this. You might want to hit pause to give yourself just a little bit longer. Okay, so the identity property of addition and the identity property of multiplication. These just mean that it maintains its identity. So if you add 0 to something, the number maintains its identity. If you multiply a number by 1, that number maintains its identity. So in part A here, 7 plus 0 equals 7. So 7 maintained its identity. So I would say yes here. Negative 16 times 1 equals negative 16. It maintained its identity, so I would also say yes on that one. Okay, again, you might want to hit pause here. Okay, so the additive inverse means that whenever you add a number to its opposite, you get 0. So the additive inverse on part A would be negative 13. It's just the opposite of the number. On part B, the additive inverse of negative 5/8 is positive 5/8. And on part C, the additive inverse of 0.6 is negative 0.6. It's just the opposite here. Okay, the multiplicative inverse is just a little bit different. Multiplicative inverse means that whenever you multiply a number times its inverse, you get 1. So 9 times 1/9 on part A is the multiplicative inverse. So it's the reciprocal. So on part B, the reciprocal of negative 1/9 is a negative 9 over 1, which is just negative 9. On part C, the multiplicative inverse of 0.9, the first thing I would do is I would change that to a fraction, and then the multiplicative inverse is 10/9. Okay, for whatever reason, part C was left off on this one, so go ahead and just take a look at A and B. The zero property, anything you multiply by 0, you just get 0. So on part A here, negative 8 times 0, it's 0. On part B, 5/12 times 0, that's 0 as well. On part C, 0 times 2.94, also 0. Okay, so the division of 0. 0 divided by anything is just 0. 0 divided by 4,000 is 0. So on these, part A, 0 divided by 5, 0. Part B, 0 divided by negative 2, also 0. Part C, 0 divided by 7/8, it's 0. This is an important rule to remember, and it's a hard one sometimes. People forget. They tend to want to say 0, and that's not true. For any real number, if you divide by 0, your answer is undefined. The reason why that is because if I said 0 divided by 4, so if I did quote-unquote long division here, 0 divided by 4, 4 times what would give me 0? Well, I can actually come up with an answer there. But what if I have 4 divided by 0? So I've got 4 inside the house this time. I'm dividing by 0. What times 0 would give me 4? I can't come up with an answer here. There is no answer. Nothing times 0 is 4. So you would say that this problem is undefined. Anytime you divide by 0, it's undefined. Okay, so look at all of these. 7.5 divided by 0, undefined. On part B, negative 32 divided by 0 is undefined. On part C, 4/9 divided by 0, undefined. Anytime you have something divided by 0, it is undefined. Okay, so now we're going to simplify 3x plus 15 minus 3x. We are adding 3x to its additive inverse, and so we're going to get 0 here. That creates 0. I'm left with just 15. Okay, technically I'm multiplying by 4 by its multiplicative inverse, because 0.25 is the same thing as 1/4. So 4 times 1/4 is 1. So I'm left with just Q here. If you write 1Q, I wouldn't mark that wrong, but just know that you don't have to have that 1 out front. Okay, remember here we've got 0 divided by something, and it says that n can't be -5 because that would create 0 in the denominator, and that would be undefined. But if n is anything other than -5, then I've got 0 divided by some number, and I get an answer of 0. Okay, here we've got 0 in the denominator. Anytime you are dividing by 0, your answer will be undefined. Period. Stop there. Undefined. Okay, on this one, I've got 3/4 times 4/3, and then in parentheses 6x plus 12. But look, I'm multiplying 3/4 times its multiplicative inverse here. Whenever you do that, you create 1. So what I'm left with is 1 times 6x plus 12, which is just 6x plus 12. Okay, this is a good page for you to kind of look over these. Again, I'm not going to be testing you over what the commutative property is or associative, identity, inverse, distribution, but I'm going to ask you to know how to apply these things. If there's ever a time that you forget, ask me what a definition is. Do not just sit there and wonder.